Hello, and welcome to True Crime Mysteries, where we take a dive into some of the world's most prolific crimes. Today, I thought we would do something a little bit different, and I wanted to have a casual chat video about a docuseries I watched. So I recently watched the Madeline McCann docuseries on Netflix, and you may see by the title that my opinion has been swayed. Now, I fully really believe that the parents had something to do with the disappearance of Maddie McCann, and I didn't think I was going to get swayed by this documentary. I went in thinking that the parents did, and I was like, I'm going to come out thinking the parents did it, even though I knew that the basis of the Netflix series was really pushing towards human trafficking, and I kind of knew that going in, and I was like, I'm not gonna be swayed, but I was. Do I think the McCanns were perfect parents? No. Do I think it was a great idea to leave your children alone at night in a foreign country, unsupervised? No. But I think that there is strength in numbers when you have two other sets of parents who are, who also thought it was a good idea to leave their children at home. They didn't do it alone. There's strength in numbers, and there's strength in a joint opinion that, albeit was a bad idea in hindsight, seemed like an okay idea at the time. Did I feel the Netflix docuseries included all of the evidence? No. However, I think they did the best they could in the time constraint they had, and the evidence they did include was more of the important evidence that was actually well researched and had legitimate reasons for being evidence, whereas some of the other evidence that has previously been discussed is a little more speculative. What made me change my opinion? Well, I don't think guilty parents who know what happened to their daughter continue to spend time, money, and resources into finding a disappeared child. They wouldn't want so much attention if they had something to do with it. Does that completely, to me, dissuade the evidence from the cadaver dogs, which was a big selling point for me on why I believe the parents were responsible for the death? No. I think that is still solid evidence, but it didn't lead to any further evidence. Do I think the Portuguese police really botched this investigation from the very start? Yes. They were bad. They were really bad. Especially going into similar cases and a similar investigation that really kind of led to the same conclusions that were further investigated, and I am unsure why that lead detective was even put on another missing child case. And I think the media were right to scrutinize his work ethic. In the media, he was called a drunk, he was called lazy, it was reported on that he took 3-hour lunches. I just don't think that is the sense of urgency needed to solve this case. And I don't think he ever really took the case seriously. I don't think he ever really cared. It really didn't seem like from the Portuguese police that if they weren't pushed by outside sources, they wouldn't have pursued the case even as long as they did. And I don't believe you close a case of a missing child that has never been recovered. You don't just wrap it up, tie it in a little box, and go, we tried, and throw it into cold storage or wherever their cold cases go. So it's very strange. Do I think the McCanns made some kind of weird choices in who they gathered for their team, their legal experts to fight everything? Yeah, it was kind of weird. But, you know, I feel like I would have made similar decisions. But going back to it, I don't feel if they knew what happened to their daughter, they wouldn't be agreeing to having people look into it, like investigators, private investigative companies. They wouldn't be like, yes, look into our lives, look into our children's, you know, future lives, look into anybody and everybody we know, and yeah. I just don't think it would happen. You know, I think we would see something a little more akin to Casey Anthony, where she was, from the start, manipulating the investigation away from her, trying to put them on anything and anything to get the blame off of her and to have them looking into another direction. I think we would see something a little more similar to that case, and you're not seeing it here. Sorry, my dog won't stop barking. So as to my thoughts on Kate McCann and her perceived attitude and how people kind of felt like she wasn't grieving enough or grieving correctly, the Netflix docuseries gave more of an insight onto what their lives were like in the press. I swear to God, dog. Shut the fuck up. Stop it. He sees like a squirrel or something that I don't see, and I need him to stop. Okay. He seems done. The Netflix docuseries gave us more of an insight into what their lives were like in Portugal once the media had picked up on the story. And to be honest, who are we to judge what someone looks like when a child goes missing and they don't know where they are and they are being hounded day and night by a swarm of press at all time. When they go to church, when they're with their other children, when they're in their house, when they're in the car, when they go anywhere, when they do anything, when they eat, sleep, breathe, there are press there waiting for them to do something. They're shouting at them, trying to get them to look weird, or trying to get an offhanded remark or comment or anything. And it's all very kind of understandable that they come off as cold and angry and despondent from the media. When there's a camera shoved in front of my face at all times, and a reminder, they're not home. They're in a foreign country on vacation, missing a child. It is a worst case scenario. A lot of the times they don't know the laws, they don't know the language, they don't know the criminal justice system, they don't know the police. This is all completely foreign to them, and it's not as if the Portuguese police were being forthcoming and supportive during the investigation, especially initially. They really left them out. They told them not to talk to the media. You know, they were pretty scary, and I could understand how that would be just a really terrifying experience from start to finish. So I don't blame them when they leave Portugal and go back to the UK. At least there, they can resume some sort of semblance of normalcy. They have 2 other children. I think it would be a lot different if Madeline had been their only child and, you know, they had the means and the resources to stay in Portugal, but they had 2 other kids to raise, and they couldn't just sit around in Portugal waiting forever when their 2 young kids needed to go back home. And I think they needed a bigger support system, and they would have that back in the UK and back in the home, and they could go back and start figuring out how to switch up the strategy. And that's what they did. I was pretty close to tears on the last episode when they're talking about how many missing children are abducted and sold into situations that they should not be in to start. And it's really upsetting to think that, you know, at any given moment, children can get snatched and sold to people who are purchasing them for nefarious reasons, or, you know, perhaps they couldn't have children of their own, so they decided to buy a child on the black market, and that means that some other child needs to be taken from a family. And a lot of the times it goes unreported. So, as stated, those are my thoughts on the Madeline McCann. If you like these videos, I have watched tons and tons of documentaries, and I would love to talk about them. So those are my thoughts on the disappearance of Madeline McCann. My opinion has changed. I no longer believe that the parents accidentally overdosed their child. I believe that she was taken, and, you know, I really hope that she is one of those children that get found or find themselves, you know, 20 years later, or through DNA. She may not know that she's missing. You know, she could be like JC Dugard. And my hope is that, you know, there's a conclusion to this mystery, because it's been a long time. And it would be really great to get some sort of resolution for the family and for people who have been so heavily invested in trying to find Madeline. That'd be really great. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like these types of more casual chats, like a little chit chat, let me know, and I'm happy to do more of these, and you can see my face. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.